Hey everybody, and welcome to Patagonia Public Library's Tech Tips, a series where I offer basic internet and PC tutorials for beginners. For our very first episode, I thought we would start off with something fairly simple, and that's going to be copying and pasting, namely copying things off of the internet and pasting them into a word processing document. So before we get started, I did want to note that if you just want to print this material off, most web browsers will have a menu up here somewhere in the bar area, the menu bars. Here it's going to be what they call a hamburger menu. That's three horizontal lines. Sometimes you'll see vertical lines. Sometimes it'll be a grid work of dots of some sort, even on Androids and tablets and Macs. And what that denotes is that you usually have a menu here. So you go ahead and click on that, and you will find a lot of options in here, one of these options being print. Now, if you just want to print this stuff out, you can use that option. Do be aware, though, that depending on the browser you're using, it might give you some of this stuff, too. You might get any advertisements in the margins. You might get any kind of weird tertiary formatting going on up here. So if you're just wanting to read this stuff on your own and you don't worry about the formatting too much, then that might be an option for you. But be aware it will give you some stuff that you might not be looking for. So as far as copying and pasting goes, the first thing we want to do is select the material that we want to copy. Now, the way we do that is we're going to take our cursor here and we're going to find the text. And when you do that, your cursor is 9 times out of 10 going to turn into a little text cursor here instead of the pointer that we usually have. Now what that denotes is that you are over a text field and you should be able to go ahead and grab that. Now what I'm doing here is I'm positioning my cursor to the left side of the text, and I'm going to left click. I'm going to click down on the left mouse button and I'm going to hold that down. And while it's held down, I'm going to go ahead and drag my cursor across this. Now what that does is that highlights this area and gives me a selection. Now, if you want to highlight anything below that, once you're over to the right here, you can just drag that down and it's going to highlight everything to the left of your cursor, including images. Now, if you don't want the images in there, don't worry about that. We can cover that here when we get to the pasting part. So what we're going to do is you see here now that I'm scrolling while this stuff is still highlighted. Now that can be kind of tricky. If you just bring your cursor to the bottom of the screen, it will auto scroll for you. But depending on how far down you pull on your mouse, the speed might be a little etchy for you. So there's a couple more ways to do this a little more accurately. One of them is if you have a scroll wheel on your mouse and you have the dexterity, you can hold down with the index finger your left mouse button and then use your middle finger or any of your other free fingers to scroll that mouse wheel down. And that will go ahead and select that material too. Another way is you can use the down arrow key on your keyboard. Be aware that when you do this, though, it won't automatically select this material. You do have to move your mouse just to let it know that it's doing that for you. So those are the three methods that we can use to highlight this material and scroll down at the same time. So I just want to grab this little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and select this, and we're going to use the auto scroll so it can move the screen down real gently. I'm going to feather that. And we'll just stop right here because that's about all we need. Now I'm going to go ahead and let go of my mouse's left button, and that will leave your selection there. Do be aware, however, that if you click anywhere outside of the screen, or outside of this selection, once that it's been selected, it will deselect that for you, and that can be kind of irritating sometimes if you didn't mean to, or if you're trying to grab something else. So we're going to go ahead and reselect all this material. And in order to copy it, what I want to do is I want to place my cursor inside of the selection. You want to make sure that it's inside here. Now that's not always necessary. Sometimes you can grab it from outside, but it seems to work a little bit better across most applications. So I'm going to go ahead and right click. I'll click down the right mouse button inside of that selection, and that brings up my context menu. And in here you'll see the first option there is copy. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and what that does is that takes all of this highlighted information and it moves it up into this invisible space in the computer called my clipboard. So all of this information is now sitting in the clipboard waiting for me to do something with it. So whether or not you want to keep this highlighted or not, click it off, whatever, that's up to you. Now we want to do is we're going to open our word processing document. Here in the Patagonia Public Library, we do use Microsoft Word. So I'm going to go down here. Usually on the library's computers, you can find it in the Quick Launch taskbar down here. If it's not there, you'll see an icon maybe somewhere on the desktop. If you don't find it in either of those places, we're looking for this little icon here. If you don't find it in either of those places, please do come up to the front desk and let one of the staff know, and we will go ahead and remedy that. But there is another way to get to it. You can come down here to the Start menu. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And if you don't see the icon you're looking for in this very first menu, just go ahead and click on All Programs, and that'll open up a larger context menu. And you can see Word is right here. If you don't see it in this list, you can just scroll down using either your mouse wheel or the scroll bar here and find it. But it should be in there somewhere. So we're going to go ahead and open Microsoft Word, and you'll get this screen here. If you're not familiar with Word, what we're going to want to do is we're going to come up and open this blank document. So just click here, and it's going to open that screen up. Now you want to make sure that we are active in this page. So go ahead and just click inside here anywhere, and you want to see this blinking cursor bar here, and that makes this our active window. So remember that we had copied all of the material from that web page, and it's now in our invisible clipboard. So I'm going to come inside of our active area here, and I'm going to right click again, clicking down on the right mouse button. Now you'll see here we have paste options, and it's going to give us three different situations that we can choose from. Now the first one is going to be keep source formatting. What that does is it basically takes what you put into the clipboard and throws it into your word processor as close as it possibly can to the original formatting. So sometimes it's not really as clean as this, depending on the formatting and the coding on the web page that you got the information from. Sometimes it'll be all squirrely and whatnot. So what we want to do is you can actually hover over these options to see what it's going to paste for you. Merge formatting kind of takes the best of both worlds, and then keep text only is exactly what it sounds like. It removes all the images. So depending on what type of format you want to paste this in, you can go ahead and choose that. We're going to go ahead and keep the source formatting. So now that I have pasted this stuff in here, we have all of that information. And you can go through here and you can move around your pictures and whatnot. You can play around with, removing hyperlinks and getting rid of some of these weird stuff if you're trying to get it out for a, some kind of publication or whatnot. You don't want the blue links in there. You can do all kinds of things like that. And Word is a very great tool for this, and which I will try and cover in some future episodes of Tech Tips. But for now, you have the gist of copying and pasting, and at the Patagonia Public Library, it's going to look exactly like this to the most degree. So if you have any questions, please feel free to come to the desk during our normal business hours and ask, and we will be happy to come down the hall and help you out. So without further ado, thank you for viewing, and please stay tuned for Patagonia Public Library's video productions.